Enemy power-up detected.
Hello, 7 Mech Warriors, and welcome to Incoming Missile, a Mech Warrior online podcast. This is your host, Captain Cat, with another in our Target Lock series, where we zero in on another member of the Mech Warrior online community. This time we have denAirwalkerrr of Russian Jade Falcon joining us, who's going to be talking to us about competitive play, the most recent patch changes, and his mech list resource, which we'll provide links to in the show notes. So without further ado, let's crack into it.
Shutdown sequence overridden.
So today we've got denAirwalkerrr joining us. Den, how you doing, mate?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, you had a good day?
Yeah, bit. I almost literally wake up a few hours ago, so I'm fresh as hell and ready to talk.
It sounds nice. Have you had a chance to watch any of the BFM games?
A little bit. I'm not like very interested in it right now, like watching casting and stuff. I just want to play a bit, get rid of all championship experience and keep living on.
Get clean?
Yes.
So you guys didn't have a game this week, is that right?
Unfortunately, the way this mercenary company, or they renamed themselves, dropped, so we didn't have a game this week. We'll have on the next one.
Nice. You mentioned the World Championship.
Yeah.
How did that go for you guys, first of all?
I'm very surprised we made it to top 4 this year.
If it had been, more traditional World Championship, maybe it's more interesting to talk about this. Like, what do you think we would have seen the meta be for, standard rules?
It very depends on what do you mean by standard rules, because if it was your usual 2-2-2-2, then I really don't know, because to figure out the meta in comp play, you usually need to play with other teams for a bit. This year, EU meta was almost all direct fire, while on US side you have seen a lot of LRMs. And you really can't just say what is going to be meta in competitive until you play according to the rules.
Yeah, no, I can see what you mean there. I guess if there was no restriction on usage of piranhas, for example,
yeah,
probably would have seen a lot of those.
I wouldn't be so sure about piranhas, because like mislinks are still very tanky compared to them, and have jump jets, so it would mislinks against piranha is a really tough matchup actually. And if you have like streak boats, which like EMP used to take on the previous world championship, it would just melt piranhas in like one salvo.
Yeah.
So
big risk.
Yeah, it's questionable. And Wolfhounds are still a huge powerhouses, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised like if there wasn't like no tonnage restrictions, you would see just like two Wolfhounds. It's just like one of those moments. Again, the PGI could have done something adequate, like do the same tonnage and one mech per like everything same in terms of tonnage and mech restrictions, but without stocks. It would be a really great championship in that case. But yeah, we had what we had.
Do you think that, there's still a few games to play out for the World Championship when it comes to MechCon? Do you think that there's still a little bit of potential for some surprises there, with the choices that some people might make?
I don't know. I really hope the guys will just do some dumb stuff over there, because JGX and Yon really don't want to show any sort of other strategies, because they played like only 2 games. So I bet they will just try to play something fun, I hope. Can just say that EMP had a really great deck on the Acoustic Valley because they took like the most meta mechs available because like laser vomit combined with like LRMs is very tough thing to get around.
I was interested to see that they didn't really change their strategy after playing JGX. They sort of brought the same drop deck.
No. They actually brought laser vomit, hunchback, and annihilator instead of like full RM deck. So they can like push a little bit earlier, so they can defend better against other pushes. And we just, to be fair, we trained like once per week against Eon, and that was pretty much it for us.
Yeah.
We didn't even play the game that much, so I'm completely fine with our first place in this championship, to be fair. And as I already said, we already planned out when we're gonna meet up together and get drunk.
Very nice. So, what's your take on how, I think it's kind of clear in your opinion of the stock mode?
It's horrible, yeah.
In case it wasn't clear, yeah. What's your take on how that's affected the competitive scene to have that set up?
Actually, the most funniest thing about the stock mode, it showed how wrong like Russ thought about how it will work out, because he said that there will be a lot of beer league teams, but there were almost none because stock mode is actually even harder to play around than the normal one.
Yeah,
because you move so freaking slow, you have so low damage on most of the mechs that you just have to be very strategic in your approach. While beer league teams, you usually just try to do a death ball, and death balls work when you have speed. You have no speed on this one.
I mean, we discussed in a previous Tiger Locks episode that even if there was some beer league teams there, they probably didn't have fun.
Actually, yeah, they didn't have any fun because they were still getting stomped by competent players, because competent players, again, just put effort into this game to get actually good.
What about how it affected the teams themselves, though? Like, what about how the stock mode sort of affected, teams' rosters and how many people actually made an effort to play the World Championship this year and those kind of things?
Well, for the most teams in like upper top 8, it didn't affect much. Like EMP, Eon, us, we were like completely fine. Even SN showed up, as far as I know, just because it's a stock mode for some reason. I can say for sure that PHL had troubles due to stock. Some other teams had troubles due to stock. It wasn't like such a huge trouble. Actually, just a lot of comp teams just already burnt out of the comp just by nature, not only by stocks. So I wouldn't say it affected it that much.
So how do you think PGI could have done better this time? Like, what are your thoughts on? I mean, let's frame this a bit. So PGI has a kind of a unique position in that they are the people who make the game. So they can actually, compared to MRBC, they can make changes within the game to make their competition work the way they want it to work, right?
Okay, so as you see, MRBC, BFM made the change that you can't cap 2 points, actually. So I wouldn't say it's that hard.
With the stock mode, I mean, we saw PGI put changes into the live version of the game to sort of support that stock mode, but they can also, they put the competitive sort of mode into the game where you go in there and you search for another team to play against and all that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of things that I mean that MRBC can't do. And PGI can, change the fundamental rules of the game.
To be fair, the only thing I'm missing for that is make, like, let's say it. So usually when you're in lobby, you can see which drops enemies are at. And that's like the only thing that really right now limits the, like, your usual, like, competitive based on communities. Outside of that, you can just make like almost anything. Of course, you can't make like stuff like stock mode because, actually you can, because there's like tick in the lobby, but Remember that on the previous season of MWOWC there was a big discussion about strikes, and if rules were to disable strikes, then teams will have to prove that they didn't launch the strike. It did the other team.
Yeah, I remember the conversation well.
Yeah, but it's honestly there is no such major stuff like that to be changed, so I don't see problems with that one.
We had a little bit of a conversation within our unit of how actually one of the strengths of MRBC format, including BFM, is that you schedule your games with the enemy team for a certain day of the week and a certain time, which gives you time as a team to sort of plan, prep, train, all that stuff.
Actually, about that, I want to thank PGI for actually doing that part of World Championship this year really great, because at the first they wanted to play 2 or 3 games for each team in the first week, in the first weekend, and they announced it like a day before that had to happen. So we just came up, said hello, we can't play 2 or 3 games in a row because we didn't prepare for the teams, and they made it really good so that only like first round was played on that weekend, and then teams were allowed to schedule during the week, and the end of the week was like the deadline for teams to play. If they haven't agreed, they'll have to play at a certain time at the weekend, and it was like really great this year.
Okay.
So I would say that this World Championship wasn't like a huge mess, but it really wasn't a pleasant experience either.
Yeah, I guess PGI have a sort of a responsibility to look after the esports side of the game and make sure that is
and stop banning memes in Twitch chat.
And make sure that's healthy, and that the people organizing the esports side are supported and getting what they need. How do you feel like they're doing outside of World Championship? How do you feel like they do with supporting other tournaments, and any thoughts on how they might do better?
I'd say I don't know about like their connections with MRBC in terms of like prize givings, but they're not really bad in terms of giving out free prizes to like community-based leagues and stuff. Personally, I asked Tina if they'll be able to, instead of like direct ejecting MCs for this World Championship in our accounts, to give out as codes, so we could like promote our clan and probably organize some sort of community-based tournament with those MCs from the World Championship. She said that, yeah, it's possible. So we'll probably do that.
So I'd like to talk about Battle for Midway as well, if we can, because that is the sort of the most current look. Like you said, to establish what the current meta of the game is, you need to play other teams on a competitive level and sort of get a gauge of what is strong against. Yeah, and unfortunately, you guys haven't played a game at the time of this recording. But one thing I can say, we had our first match today, and I would say 3 Annihilators is just an obvious choice today.
On the last drop, you mean?
Yeah, we took it on the last drop, but if you can squeeze it in somewhere else, I guess you can maybe make it work. If you don't take 3 Annihilators somewhere through, you probably, need to have another look.
Yeah, the thing I really wanted to try out against like Annihilators is 3 Supernovas, Awesome Niger, and Stealth Narc Commando.
Oh.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like much fun to me. To be the Annihilators.
Yeah.
Getting rained on.
I was also like putting like 3 Annihilators, then I thought, how much LRMs we can fit in this tonnage? And it's 260.
Nope.
Yes. I really wanted
maybe Fafnirs? ECM Fafnirs?
Probably. But yeah, just keep in mind that this can happen with you at some point.
Well, that's kind of what I was building up to, was that today, for me it's Sunday right now. Today, the Annihilator is an obvious choice. Come Tuesday, when the new patch comes out and the Annihilator loses 1/3 of its armor quirk, or 2/3 of its armor quirks.
You probably will just take the one A and L later because it's almost the same. Just have to place one cannon into arm instead of torso.
And it doesn't lose all its armor?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
And Electro still will be strong given like the 2A. Not as strong, of course. So you want to talk a bit about the upcoming balance changes?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have these balance changes. For you and I, we're sort of mid-season or just started a season of BFM, so we're going to have to adapt very quickly to these changes. It's been quite a divisive patch so far. Some people think it's going to be good, some people think it's going to be bad. Hard to say without playing it. What are your thoughts?
Well, personally, I feel like let's just see how it works. That's it. I just really can't bet on what will the meta be. Will that patch be good or bad? It's really a big change, and we have to see how it works.
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling as well.
I'm also like currently a part of the so-called balance gulag, and we were discussing, of course, these changes, and pretty much everyone there is just like, let's see how it works out, and then give out feedback.
So there's not really there must be some people in the balance gulag who think it's good and some people who think it's going to be bad. I mean, you guys will be making predictions.
Well, there are bad and there are good changes to it. It's not like there is like no absolutely stupid stuff like limiting lasers ghost hit to 4, stuff like that. So it's nerfs. So yeah, let's just give it a shot for now.
Hopefully we can make some reactive changes if something's not working.
Speaking of reactive changes, about my list, yeah, I'll probably have to rework a lot of laser vomits in there. I mean, judging by the public tests, I would say that there won't be like drastic changes to it. Because, for example, 2 large pulse and 6 medium Marauder 2C was completely fine. It still was able to deal 2 alphas. What I really liked that Ibn Jaguar, for example, wasn't able to deal 2 alphas with 2+6 build. It was just too hot. So, for example, it opens up a possibility for Timberwolves because for heavies now 2 large pulses and 4 mediums will be the optimal laser vomit build. Stuff like that. The only issue I see is heavy large lasers because, in my opinion, they just murdered this weapon system. 2 damage is a very huge nerf because if you remember, Inner Sphere large pulse lasers, the like only nerf they got was like 1 damage, almost like 2 years ago at this point, and nobody uses them after that. Like nobody.
I think that the ER large laser was a pretty tempting choice already.
Yes. What I do like that they also, in conjunction with nerfing heavy large, they also nerfed ER large a little bit because it was just straight up better than normal large for Inner Sphere and the large pulse for clan. Now we'll have, on clan side we'll between like large pulse and ER large.
So just to frame this conversation out a little bit, we should mention that for those that don't know, denAirwalker does publish what he calls his tier lists or mech lists. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we've got a link to that in the show notes down there so you guys can have a look. Did you want to just outline a little bit quickly for if anyone doesn't know perhaps what your mech lists are?
Yeah, just very brief. So it's basically a list of meta stuff you can run in this game. So it's like structured in terms of usefulness. I also have like hero mech lists in case you're looking to buy some heroes. Faction play if somebody don't know how to make decks in faction play. So it's just like a helpful tool for like newer players to use. Actually, I have a short fun story about it.
Nice.
Yeah, basically how it was made. When like almost 1 year ago at this point, when I was just a student, was unemployed, pretty much I had quite some free stuff. I was spending it playing MWOWC and stuff. I was just like sitting. I don't want to make videos because it's really time consuming and I'm lazy. I don't want to make a website because it's also quite resourceful for me. And then I just like opened up Google Doc, just made a table and started filling it up with stuff, and I actually liked how it ended up.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, I just was like sitting, I have nothing to do, what should I do? Oh, yeah, let's just make a freaking table with mechs. Yeah, good idea.
So, I mean, if any of you remember MetaMex, I guess you could kind of equate it a little
Yeah.
bit to what MetaMex was like. That it has, a list of what you consider the best, and it also, unlike MetaMex, has skill trees, because that was kind of around the time when MetaMex stopped updating. Was when skill trees came out. It has build codes, so you can just literally copy the build straight out of den's spreadsheet into the game now, which is such a great addition to the game.
Yeah, it's like probably the best thing PGI done in 2 years I'm playing this game.
I mean, someone says to me, "Oh, what's your something build on?" "Oh, I'll send it to you," and then they can open it up, try it out without buying it first. It's great. I love that.
I really wish PGI made much more such quality of life changes to the game, like that one.
And it's changes like that that make me, give me the confidence that PGI really does want this game to be successful. I mean, I occasionally hear people say, "Oh, they want the game to die," or, these kind of conspiracy theories.
In my opinion, I just gonna wait until they release MechWarrior 5, and then if they won't keep working on MW after that, I'll probably leave it at some point.
I think that making quality of life changes at this point in MechWarrior surely must mean that they want it to, they wouldn't be putting the amount of development time it takes to add, say, importing builds and all that kind of stuff. They wouldn't be putting that work into the game if they didn't think that it would, pay off for a couple of years at least.
Oh yeah, well, let's just see again how it all plays out in the future, because they can try to switch engines at the end. They can just start working on MechWarrior Online too if the MechWarrior 5 will be a huge success. I actually really want for MechWarrior 5 to be successful, so they could hire proper personnel and make game better.
So coming back to your spreadsheet for a second, you mentioned sort of how the spreadsheet got made. What do you see as being how to put this? What do you see as being like the purpose of your spreadsheet? Why do you make the spreadsheet?
Well, as I said, I really would like for people in this game to improve, to start using proper builds at least at the beginning, because it's like the main thing that I see in this game, which is wrong, when people are using like absolutely abominations of a mechs in the quick play, faction play. So I was like, MetaMech is dead. We need something instead of it. So I guess I should make something, but I didn't know what it should be at the beginning. But then I just opened the Google Doc and started working on it.
Right. So it's almost like a public service.
Yep, pretty much.
Mm.
I mean, it's not really that time consuming after you figured out how it should look like. You just like add lines, fill them up, or move them after they're done, in case something changes in terms of balance.
Mm-hmm. And is it all you, or do people, send you feedback saying, "Oh, this is in the wrong place"?
Mostly it's just me. I end up with putting up, adding builds, deleting, editing them. But then I usually, if it's a big change, I go to the people I know, ask them on their opinion, and they just say like, this is not on the places. It should be higher. It should be lower. Then I just like gather it up, adjust a little bit, and usually that's pretty much it for the list.
I know you've already said that you're going to have to play to really see what it's going to be like, but surely you must have at least some ideas, some predictions of how this list is going to change. You mentioned laser vomit. You think that that's going to be less powerful after this change?
Not really, because it's gonna have higher DPS actually. It's got, as I said, this change overall is nerf to burst fire, but increase of DPS for almost every single mech. And why I really like these changes, because it's allowed for some really fun stuff. Personally, I'm very looking forward for something like dual PPC jump jet linebacker.
That's my prediction as well, that it's less burst, more overall DPS. And that's kind of what we saw on the PTS, right? If any of you listeners played the PTS, you see like something like a Hellbringer can maybe not alpha as many times in a row, but it can alpha more frequently in the long term over the course of a whole game.
So, Navit was doing some graphics, if you've seen them, and usually most of the mechs were getting higher damage over time, over like 30-40 seconds. But until then, they usually had lower damage. So this pretty much sums up the changes. So it will be lower damage until X point in the time, and but after that X, it will be higher.
And where does that leave lights, for example?
Pretty much at the same place, because like at the first PTS, lights were like almost straight up dead due to very low heat cap and inability to dissipate heat properly. But now it should be fine. I mean, the meta won't change drastically. Again, we have to see how it will work out. But one thing I can say for sure, that brawling will still be dead for the most part. Because we need buffs to brawling weapons like small lasers, SRMs, ACLBX 20s, UAC 20s. Speaking of UAC 20s, I'm really looking for that hunchback.
Yeah, so this patch we're going to have the introduction of a new kind of quirk, which is like, what's the word?
Ghost hit increase. Ghost hit cap increase. Actually, it's a really interesting change, and I'm actually surprised PGI implemented it, because it will allow for some mechs to have gimmicks like the York 20 hatchback, and it's one of the things that were really missing in this game.
Yeah, I agree. It's really exciting having the, some of the other ones there. They're awesome, able to shoot 3 PPCs.
I'm also very looking for them to add like no ghost hit for dual AC20 King Crab, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, that's what the King Crab should have in its claws, right? AC20s.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like it's a really great change. I wish they would just straight up return the Gauss PPC back, but I do like that they're testing it out firstly on like underdog chassis like Awesome and Nightstar. I'm probably gonna be running freaking for PPC or Awesome 8Q. Even with Ghost Hit, it should be fine, because it's like 40 pinpoint. You can have like 3 additional medium pulses on it. I already made up the build and I'm waiting to try it out straight after patch comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, while we're still around my list, one thing since it's like mostly finished now and I don't see really much stuff I could add to it after, I will like do some changes according to patch. I'm probably gonna start, and since I don't have to play like comp almost since World Championship is over and BFM is like 5 games in the weekends, I probably will start streaming NW. And I was thinking about what could I add to my list. First, I wanted to make like guides and add links to them, but then I figured out that it will be a little bit time consuming for me again. So I guess I'll just be streaming and adding votes of certain games and builds to the list itself.
That's a good idea. So next to the build code, you'll have a link to a video where you can see you playing that build.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it.
Nice. I like the sound of that. Make sure you link us in when you start doing that, because we'll be watching.
Yeah, as I said, first thing I still need to clear it up, add the remaining descriptions, fill up the tier 5 of my list, I guess. And then I'll start streaming, adding videos to it.
Nice. I mean, in your mech list, I mean, they as well as having solo queue stuff, they've got faction play. Like you said, they've got heroes. And you said it would be a bit of work to, convert this into I suppose, a website. What if somebody else was willing to do that work for you?
I would be very glad, but it's unlikely.
Well, I mean, if anyone listening to this podcast thinks that's an interesting idea, then reach out and get in touch with denAirwalker, because
Actually, yeah, guys, if you have any sort of feedback, you can just like find me on a lot of discords related to MW, or you can find me on Reddit. You can just PM me your feedback, your thoughts on the list. Almost always online and read my messages. So yeah. One thing we haven't talked about how these changes will affect comp play, I guess.
Yep.
Again, I can't really say a lot of predictions, but I'm pretty sure that Brawling and will be staying dead, and Laser Vomit and Daka will still be the most meta stuff in the comp because of how bad SRMs, small lasers, and AC20s are right now in the game. They really need buffs.
Yeah. And you're talking, let's be clear, you're talking about in Deve, right?
Yeah, I guess because in lower divisions, it just depends on which team has a little bit more skill over other and who made less mistakes.
And another thing coming in the patch this week as well is the champion mech. And I think, I mean, my read of the community reaction to the champion is that is not that excited about it.
Unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't add anything new to the game for the most part. Like the only two things I was able to came up with is like 1 Gauss and 5 and 6 medium lasers built. That's pretty much it.
There's one there that has 4 ballistic side torso.
Well, yeah, you can like put 4 AC2s on it and it will be okay build, but it will still most likely be inferior to Dragon due to armor quirks of the Dragon.
So what kind of quirks do you think that it would take to make a mech like the champion competitive or strong?
It's a good question. To be fair, in my opinion, almost none, because it's just another like 1 ballistic, some lasers, and some missiles mech, I guess. Nothing too special. In case it like had 2 ballistics in different locations, it might have a little bit more variety. But for now, I don't know. It doesn't even have jump jets aside from here, and here is going to be inferior to mechs like IV4 for the most part. At least it has agility, I guess. It actually has a little bit higher agility than quick draws and dragons, but not by much, but just like by a tiny bit.
And we sort of talked about a little bit on the podcasts that PGI seem, especially recently, to be quite reluctant to put strong quirks on the mechs when they first come out. Like a lot of the mechs that we've seen this year have had pretty moderate quirks.
Yeah, guys, let's release Thanatos with structure quirks, horrible agility, and then like after half a year after its release, let's just give him like a little bit armor quirks and some agility. Finally, wow! Just why you? Why, I'm just surprised. The mech is absolute shit. Why you can't just buff it right away?
Why don't they buff it straight away?
Do you really need to gather half a year of feedback on how shit this mech is to buff it after that? That's what like is most triggering about PGI balancing, to be fair.
Takes too long.
Yes. And it's like not 200 IQ decisions that you need. It needs armor quirks and some agility, you know. Fortunately, we'll have some interesting mechs coming out. I'm especially looking for Viper Eagle right now.
Yeah, I don't see how that could not be strong.
Yeah, it will be a clan battle mech 50 turner with quite a lot of options, even from the standard pack. Plus, it will be able to run like Daka PPC. It will be better PPC boat than Hatchback 2C. It will have some Gauss Vomit builds even. And there will be options with like missiles and lasers on it also. This is like kind of mech you want to add to the game right now. But then we see like...
So it's a 55 tonner. So finally, clans are getting a competitive 55 tonner.
I mean, if Stormcrow had better agility, it would be also be competitive.
But it won't have jump jets.
So yeah, we just like after the flare, Hellfire is meh because it has again nothing too special. Vulcan is a freaking cicada with jump jets. In Kubus, it's battle mech Arctic Wolf, I guess. Champion is just another boring mechs. Then finally something interesting, Vapor Eagle. The next one is Charger and Hatamota. I don't even want to talk about them.
And then
And then the one hammer, yeah, just like I probably when it will come out for T-bills, I probably will just get like one laser vomit variant and probably buy a hero, but that's pretty much it.
It's 85, right?
Yes, it's 80. It's 80.
80. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we're getting like finally proper clan 80 toner, but then again, there are way more interesting chassis PGI could add to this game. There is still a like huge ton of interesting and fun stuff, which is still not in the game, but which can be added.
Yeah, you got some examples of that?
My like most go-to mech in these terms is Black Python. It's like clan 75-ton battle mech with a lot of lasers. And the second best example is of course the freaking main, if you know what I'm talking about. It's a clan 100-tonner battle. It comes stock. One variant is 10 UAC 2 and for machine guns, and the other one is 8 LRM 15s.
That doesn't sound game breaking at all.
I actually really doubt PGI will ever release this thing in the game, but it will be hilarious to pilot if they actually do.
I'd love it if they could somehow put stuff like that in the game, but not in the main game. Like they could do it as a fun thing that you could just try it, like a special event or something like that. That would be cool. And I mean, I guess that's a good example of, you know, we talked about sort of PGI putting these fairly moderate quirks on new mechs, and we've speculated on the podcast that they might be scared of people saying that it's pay to win or that sort of thing, or that they put a beast into the game, like they put the Kodiak in the game, and then it was really hard to close Pandora's box.
I don't see problems with that because something different that you can actually play in this game reliably. I mean, if you're like a casual player, I guess it doesn't matter much. Who played a lot in this game already, you're desperate for new interesting stuff you can actually play. I mean, yeah, sure, I can buy freaking Incubus and run around on it, but I won't be having any sort of fun on this mech because I already played Piranhas, I already played Clan Laser Vomit Lights, so this mech is absolutely nothing for me personally.
There's 700 something mechs in the game, and another thing we've talked about before is that they sort of all, you'd hope that a lot of as many as possible have some sort of reason for being there.
Yes, of course. I mean, if you look at my list, the lowest tier 4 is just filled with like huge ton of literally unplayable right now. And that's like actually quite a problem. It's how it's called. It's wide as an ocean, but it's narrow like a pond or something like that. Shallow. Yeah, just like, but you get the phrase I needed. I mentioned.
You got the boiler in tier 4. I got some friends who really love that mech.
I mean, it's just the whole point about it is that it's mainly my personal opinion on the mechs and the meta in the game. Because for some people, the mechs from tier 4 can be tier 0, but come on.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're ranking it by. What is your metric?
The thing is that in quick play, everything like now works. You can take absolutely dumb shit. For example, I was playing with Ash on his stream, and he was doing like a mech death stream where you have to take 3 weapon groups mech. So, and we like were single dropping. And what I took was stock Blood Asp B. It has ECM Gauss rifle, 4 medium pulses, 2 around 20 with Artemis. From Quirks, it has only like 15% ballistic cooldown, which for like 1 Gauss isn't really that much. And I did 7 kills and 1.3 thousand damage on it.
Had your bracket build. Nice.
Yes. That's what I mean. Yeah, sure. I guess I could after that put Badass in tier 0, but you know that just against like any build from tier 0, it wouldn't stand a chance. And that's like my main metric, that if you can like pilot absolutely anything is in this game as long as it works for you. But if you want to be actually effective against like not completely potato enemies, then you have to really run good builds in this game.
I think that's, any conversation about the power level of a mech in this game. If you ever go on Reddit and talk to someone about it or something like that, you'll always hear that argument. Well, I had this game and it went really good. Look, here's a screenshot.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, it's the best point right now that they've finally started giving us back our gimmick builds that actually playable. I already can't wait for like full freaking hunchback wall at the defense of some faction play.
The 80-point alphas.
I already can
Boom.
say you for sure that Juju most likely will be running stuff like that.
Oh god, is it going to be us on the other side?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a really horrible idea. I just definitely have to try it.
It's gonna be dumb but very fun build to play, and even viable to some extent, because you can actually get over 1k potential damage with like 11 heatsinks and XL200 and 1 jump jet.
And now you're not penalized for using an XL200.
You're not gonna be penalized. You're not gonna have issues with agility with such a low engine. So yeah, why not?
That's an interesting one, actually, that I've been thinking about a little bit, is the changes to the true dubs and all that kind of stuff with the in-engine heatsinks. I'm wondering, like, if it'll make, for example, a LFE 150 Annihilator like viable or something like that. Where you could just be put in a ridiculously low engine into something.
The most mechs are still very slow and don't really compensate for that slowness with firepower.
Mm.
But yeah, it's still a nice change, I guess. Yeah, as I said, it's like finally some proper changes we see to the game being done.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm not sure is that clear yet either, is because the PPCs and the Gorse are in a linked group, whether in the Night Star you can do 2 Gorse and 1 PPC, or whether you can only, because the quirk specifically states that it's extra PPC shot that you can do. So whether you have to do 2 PPC, 1 Gorse.
Very unlikely, actually. But we'll see. Yeah, they did exactly how this quicker will work. But it's pretty obvious that like 3 are PPC, 3 PPC, and 2 Gauss, 1 PPC, and 2 UAC 20 will not ghost hit, but will like heavy PPC ghost hit? Most unlikely. Most likely it will ghost hit.
Yeah, that was my other question as well, is on the awesome, because currently my awesome is 2 heavy PPCs, 5 medium pulse.
I was running it for a while.
But yeah, would you be able to just up it to 3 heavy PPCs, maybe game breaking?
So I already actually, as I told you in the podcast, I already tried out the quad PPC awesome. Thing is that even with current hit I was testing it on Frozen City, and even with current ghost hits, when you alpha for PPCs from that thing, it goes only like to 65%.
There's still Innisphere PPCs though.
I mean, it's inner sphere PPCs, but it's 40 pinpoint damage actually, so it's not that bad.
So it's almost more interesting to think about how you could break the ghost hit limit with these things then.
I mean, you're not breaking it with like 4 PPCs. It's just it's just an option right now. Finally, because you could run like 2 heavy PPCs and some medium pulses, but it wasn't really that great.
Is it just standard PPCs? Not for the quirk, I mean.
Unfortunately, most likely it will be so.
And perhaps it should be. I mean, there should be a reason for PPCs to be in the game, and that the awesome could be the reason.
As PPCs still need buffs. They're too weak. So yeah, I just noticed that shooting 4 PPCs, each PPC generates almost twice as much heat as with normally. So it seems that with 4 PPCs, most likely it will be something around 54 hit, and now it's 70. So my bet it will be able to alpha 2 times for sure. And on cold maps, after a short delay, you would be able to alpha 3rd time almost instantly, like after like 1 or 2 seconds of wait time. No. Actually, I just forgot about the hitting changes, so it most likely will be it will be most likely just 12, but it's still 80 damage, you know.
I've got a question that I like to ask people, and which is, what's your favorite mech?
Oh, that's actually a hard question because I had a lot of favorite mechs over the course of MW. And as you just play this game more and more, you just start enjoying a lot of different stuff.
What mech would have your name on it?
Yeah, probably Niger. When the Gauss PPC was a thing, it was my most favorite and enjoyable mech in this game. For now, I play just a lot of different stuff like Fafnir, Daka Medcat, some mediums, some lights like Piranha, Wolfhound. I really just for now can't say what my favorite mech is. I just there's just like some stuff that I enjoy playing it, but it's all different. And actually, the most favorite mech probably for me right now is Fafnir, because I have right now 22 to 1 win rate on it. Yeah, somehow.
Is that with the heavy goose?
Yeah, here goes 5 medium CCM, because the thing I enjoy about this one, that if you know that you can follow your team, you just follow it and aim CT and win the games. But if your team NASCAR's away from you, you can just stay at the back, let the enemies pass by, and then just go and kill like 3 or 4 mechs in the backs. And when it happens, it's just really hilarious.
Yeah, ECM's pretty strong in quick play, it has to be said.
And if like there is some dumb light going after you, well, you have heavy gauss. Come on.
And your denAirwalker, that's an important part of the equation.
I mean, I used to be so much better in this game. I just so bad right now compared to what I used to be because I don't play it.
Oh, sweet, man. Thanks for talking to us today. It's been really pleasurable. And we'll make sure that we get those links in the description. Yeah, hopefully bump into you again, and look forward to seeing your revised tier list following this week's patch, and those VODs. Once you start doing those, definitely send us some links to that, man, and we'll be watching.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, mate.
If you did enjoy this content, then your support would be greatly appreciated, and you can support us in a multitude of ways. You can go to Patreon, Incoming Missile Podcast, and support us there. We have 3 different tiers of support, or of course you can donate one-off amounts, and any in-game content that you could donate to us would also be greatly appreciated. We very much want to hear your feedback, so be sure to reach out to us on our multitude of channels. You can follow us on Twitter at IncomingP. You can reach us via email at incomingmissilepodcast@gmail.com, and please subscribe to us on YouTube. That's Incoming Missile Podcast. So just a quick reminder to check out the Mech register. You can find the link to that Google form at our Twitter account, and just remember you can fill that form out up to 8 times. Each time you do fill it out is another entry to win, so do get in there, tell us what you think about the mechs that we are featuring, and allow us to collate that information into something useful, and you may just get a mech pack out of it. We look forward to hearing from you. We appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time.